You've got mail.
Good morning, everybody. You're tuned to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next couple hours, along with Gal.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. And Spence is here.
That's some happy music.
Yeah, that's all Katie's work.
Yeah. No,
Yep.
it's the first time. I mean, we get that weird audio thing that we can't hear it in
Oh,
Zoom. But I was listening on the webpage, just I
oh,
hadn't heard it before, and I said, "Oh, that's good."
oh. And Katie is not with us. She's a little bit under the weather. And I'm still hoping to see Nick here, maybe later on. Our number is 919-518-9773, Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And today's show is made possible by vMix Software and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. So what is going on? Nothing.
What's going on?
What's going on?
Yeah, before the show we started, I told you about me replacing a UPS,
Yes,
and so there's one thing I'd like to share about that.
absolutely.
So with UPSs, they come with an interface to notify a machine that it's time to shut down, and the software, you usually need to use the software either by, if you bought a UPS from APC, you download something from APC. If you bought from um, uh, Cyber Power, you download their app, and the app supports a single machine. So you install it, it listens to the UPS signal, you get some fancy dashboard, if it's a Windows app at least, and that's it. When the UPS goes on, power goes off, UPS goes on, it'll send a signal, and you can configure what to do with that. Problem is, most of the time, especially if the CPU is, I don't know, more than 800 watts, there's going to be more than one machine hooked up to it,
Right.
probably. Or not necessarily a machine, maybe, a machine and a screen
Mm-hmm.
and something, and you want to shut down things in order, and you want to control the shutdown process, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, if you want more than one device to be shut down properly, uh, you'll need to pay these companies because they sell an enterprise level application that allows monitoring. And not only that, is if you have multiple brands, right, you'll definitely need to pay multiple subscriptions because each one will have their own app.
If you have,
Obviously,
explain that. That's if you have different, like two UPSs, two different brands that you want
right.
to control.
So,
So go on.
right, the way to pay for it is a subscription, a yearly subscription. They do not sell a license for the app.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a $40 expenditure and that's it, right? Or
Yeah.
something like that. Uh, and these are expensive because they assume it is in an enterprise environment.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, today's home are more complex than 90s enterprise, right? So, and the model seems to have never changed. So, of course, the IT world wasn't okay with it, right? And a long time ago, like decades ago, a project called, I mean, the moment you open the website, you'll understand why I'm saying decades, networkupstools.org. This project is a free open source application that you install any platform. They support like anything. It can be a Raspberry Pi, it can be a full server. As long as there's connectivity between the UPS and that machine, it'll know how to handle it. A ton of um, NAS devices already have this baked in. Uh, it's a very on Linux system. It's a very simple installation, usually by the package manager of the OS. So
Mm-hmm.
very easy to get it to your machine to work on. I use TrueNAS Scale. It's baked into the machine, baked into the OS, um, and you need to follow some. You need to first identify the model, make sure that you're listening through the right devices, and once it's hooked, this is now a network server that has an ID for the UPS that you connected, and you can uh, inter interact with it on the network. I have Home Assistant, which we've talked about in the past, and now my Home Assistant server can monitor the.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Sorry,
Something.
I don't know,
Oh,
some sort of cable moved. Okay, where did you lose me?
about 30 seconds ago.
Okay, so did I talk about Home Assistant?
You started talking about it. Yeah.
Okay, so my Home Assistant server is in a different room, but I still needed to monitor. It's protected by another server, right? So I still needed to monitor on what's going on with the main server. So I needed it on the network, right? And I'm not going to pay a subscription for something that should be simple enough
Mm-hmm.
and true enough. Networkupstools.org provided the solution baked into my TrueNAS scale. So, um, and now I can UPS is online.
You're talking away from the mic, so it's
Yeah, so now I have a view of what's going on with the UPS,
right.
what's the load on it, and it's on the dashboard on the computer, even though it comes from a remote thing. So if you have a UPS, right, and even if all you want to do is for it to manage the local machine that is next to it, but you want to track it from afar, for example, right, from a different machine, this is a good solution, right? You install this and you control it through it because the application provided uh, by the manufacturer is usually very limited. So
And what OSs does it support?
everything,
Okay. So if you have a Mac,
really
you can
everything.
download it for a Mac. If you have,
Yeah, for a
okay.
Mac, for Windows,
Yeah.
for any flavor of Linux that you can think of. Uh, yeah, everything. Solaris. They're
Wow.
big on they're big on supporting out of market like end of life UPSs,
Yeah, that don't have.
which the manufacturers no longer support,
Mm-hmm.
and things might not work in their applications because they're end of life. No, I mean the machine still works. All you need to do is replace batteries every few years, right?
Right.
No reason for something like this not to work.
Now,
So yeah,
how does it communicate over the Ethernet? Because some
so
UPSs,
it really depends. If your UPS only has a USB exit, then it connects to some machine listening to the USB, and then it can communicate on the network. You can have multiple of these servers on the network, and then control it from a central location,
right?
for example. So
But
yeah,
it's
that's the
not.
idea.
I mean, I've got the big one that I used to use at Delta Force at the data center is DB9. That's how it's connecting to the computer, and it always worked.
It'll
But
still work
yeah, but
if you plug it to
I mean,
I mean, getting a serial DB9 today on a machine is
right?
hard. So you
Yeah,
get a
yeah,
USB converter,
yeah.
and it'll read through it. It'll work.
There's only one other way to make sure that your stuff stays up, and that's what I did with the one that I run the office on. Instead of the batteries that are in it, there are two big car batteries. I mean, huge car batteries, like from a Mercedes. They're really large to create
That's to
20,
extend the time.
yeah, 24
Yeah.
volts, and they're outside in a bin and connected to that. And yeah, it'll stay 4 hours. I mean, I don't need it to be there 4 hours. I just need it to be long enough that even if I'm away, I know, okay, something happened, so I'll come back and start the generator. But yeah, that's not something that, go ahead.
But right, I mean, we've installed Home Assistant for you ages ago, but you're not using it. So here's a use that may no. Listen,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah,
simple,
I know.
right?
Yeah.
To get a notification that UPS is on,
Yeah. No, I do
right?
get those.
How do you get those?
There is I think there's an app that is running. I don't remember, but
But how do you get the notification?
oh, email.
Okay, so here we can do it right via a unique
Yeah.
notification, right? Not just a blank. The problem with email notifications, they're great, but let's be honest, right? Every single one of us here
Yeah.
gets too much email,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, true.
Uh, right?
True.
So identifying something is specific. With something like Home Assistant, you control uh, which notifications are being sent
Yeah.
by the home, right? And usually you notice them differently when uh, compared
I'm
to email. So yeah,
you know what? I may not be getting notifications from this one now. I don't remember. I mean, I'm always here, and when I see something happens, I just run out and start the generator. I don't pay attention. That's a good question. Never mind. Good question. Maybe I'm
I
thinking
pasted the link in chat, but it's network UPS tools one word .org.
you placed it.
Network UPS tools.
Oh,
I
there it
just
goes. Okay,
pasted
yeah,
it
I
into the
see it.
chat.
Yeah, yeah.
My UPS is very advanced. It comes to my doorbell and rings it for me.
Ah, but does it do it for a subscription?
But does it keep your computers on?
Absolutely.
Yep. That's
Yep.
and for those of you that also that don't understand, well, what why do I need this? The thing that can ruin your day is when a UPS, just one, like 500 watts that you buy, the small ones, that maybe will keep a machine and a monitor on for 15 minutes or whatever. When it starts going down and it's 105 volts and 100 volts and 90 volts, this is what ruins your data. And because the minute it goes down, I mean, each machine will shut down at a different level. If it writes the hard drive while it goes down, that's it. Your hard drive now needs repair.
Corrupted.
Yep. So this is important. And yes, every UPS comes with an application, even if you have to download it. I mean, in the older days, it used to come with a CD or with a 3.5 inch, and you just load it into your machine, and it will do the work. But you have to go through it, and it was pretty easy. But I'm sure what Gal is talking about here is also pretty easy to set up. Am I right, Gal, or is it?
Surprisingly so.
Yeah,
Like I before I ventured into this, I did a search, and the amount of detail was overwhelming. It's like I need to understand all of this. Then when I just went and saw that it was already baked into the system and stuff, that made it very simple. So maybe they're lacking a simple tutorial, but usually the details are just, you know, front and center in front of you. And so documentation here uh, exists. There are a ton. There's a lot of forums and chats about it, but I found eventually that all I need was just to identify that it exists, which I didn't know about. Um, and two, that setting it up was rather straightforward.
Yeah, I remember it at the internet center or Delta Force, even before Delta Force. Um, Ron always had an app, and I guess that would be it on Linux.
Could be. Yeah,
That
yeah.
it didn't matter. I mean, when we changed UPS, all he had to do is change something, and it will work
That
with that UPS.
just needed to give that UPS a name, and
Yeah.
if it's the same name that it was monitoring before, then it'll just continue doing what it did.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
most likely that's what Ron was using. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Nice.
Just hook your computer up to solar power with no direct, no batteries, just solar power.
Well, you see, I always wanted that, and nobody ever built one.
You can get it now,
What?
solar power. I mean, you can have it completely independent, standalone with one of these solar powered. They call them
No, you
solar power
can't.
generators.
No, you can't.
Yeah, it's a battery backup that solar power charged.
That's not what I'm.
Oh.
What I wanted. I mean, look, we're taking a device that works on 110. It has a power supply, which lowers the voltage and creates 12 plus and minus and 5 plus and minus. Now we take a UPS, and here's another device we're adding that takes 12 volts,
Too many
brings it up to
conversions.
110, then the power supply takes it and brings it down back to 12 and 5. Why couldn't somebody build some kind of a device, a board, that when you put 12 volts on it, like connect a battery to it, on the other side, there are all the voltages that you need to run the computer, because all the
So there,
powers. The what?
oh, it exists. It exists. If
Yeah,
you look
40,
today
48
at
volts
micro,
carrier.
not only that, if you look at microcomputers today,
Yeah.
right, the little ones, not those that come with, I mean, in a
I'm talking about
way,
regular.
USB-C. Yeah, in a way, USB-C power delivery today is a bit like
Yeah,
that, right?
that's that
But
exactly.
but even before power delivery, you have these small form computers, right? They come
Yes.
with an external power supply.
Yeah.
So theoretically, right, that will exactly work, right?
Absolutely.
Now, every laptop is that way.
Yeah,
Since the-
we're
since-
talking,
right.
and now I'm talking about desktop, about full size computers that have that wide connector into the motherboard, and then have the connectors for the hard drives and all that. Something that has that kind of a thing at the end of it, but it eliminates the power supply, and it eliminates, yeah, the power supply, and you don't need
Yeah,
a
but-
UPS anymore. All you need is a little bitty charger.
But right, keep in mind,
Yeah.
the reason we do buy these power supplies is because they regulate, right?
Yes, yes, and
They're doing something that if you trust the consumer, right, to plug in the right power,
yeah.
then the board will be
Well,
fried anyway.
I mean, a
right?
lot.
So,
Yeah, a lot of these things are for the techies that want. I mean, it's not. I'm not looking for something that will just be. Oh yeah, you buy it from the store and you plug it and that's it. No, I mean it probably
I
will take a
understand.
little more, but it doesn't.
So, Raspberry Pi, right?
Yeah, but
Since its inception,
Mhm.
the main problem with Raspberry Pi is power supply, because even though yes, all it needs is just hook up. I don't even remember. Yeah, I think it's USB powered, right? It the power supplies that are provided, right, are just usually terrible, and so the machines they die very early.
Here's a power
Are you?
supply. It runs on 48 volts DC.
Again, I
HE
don't see
computer
why.
HEX.
Yeah, why does it need 48 volts? That's
Well,
interesting.
because that's the standard for telco
Yeah,
power.
yeah, for
So that
telco it
everything
is.
runs on 48 volt power supply. So they can run on batteries, they can run on inverters,
Yeah,
and there's no yeah. So
yeah, but
I mean,
yeah, that's what you need, the ATX connector at the
yeah.
end of it. And yeah, now you're talking about 48 volts, you're gonna have to get 4
No, I realize
batteries.
you'd have to go with carrier grade equipment. So
No, you don't.
no, I mean, what I'm saying is that you need to get something that's compatible with. You're not going to be able to find a solar generator that's 48 volts.
That's what I'm saying. You're gonna
Yeah,
need 4 batteries
yeah.
of 12 volts. And yeah, I mean it's a little bit more, but I will look into this because this is something that's the safest thing. And it also is not using, I mean, the batteries in the UPS gets get used real fast because of the power conversion, the voltage conversion. With this, it just whatever the computer is drawing, and it's not as much. So the batteries will last a lot
Yes, the
longer.
efficiency. You're right. The efficiency is
Yeah,
going to be a lot higher.
absolutely.
Yeah, because of
And yeah, I mean, I'm saying, yeah, you need 48 volts and blah blah blah. It's still a doable thing. You can get 4 little batteries that
yep.
are, the 1280 whatever that you use for bikes, electric bikes.
Yeah,
Is
we used to
it's fine.
sell to move product into the carrier environment. Most of our modular switches had 48 volt power supplies.
It has to. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can have both. So you'd have 100 and 120 feet or
The
240 feet and a
yeah, the
48 DC
only
feet.
the only thing here, I think it's an for what I'm thinking, it's an overkill because why do you need 48 volts just to use 12 volts? There may be something else out there now. I mean,
Well,
I haven't
the good news is you're not doing a AC to DC conversion.
correct.
You
Back and
just
forth, back
yeah.
and forth.
So you're just dropping the voltage down using a
Yep.
diode or something,
Yep.
and then you don't go through that sine wave in and out.
It's not just all that. I mean, the you would say, well, why can't you just use 12 volt? You can't use just 12 volts. You have to use 12 volts, and then it has to generate also minus and plus 5 volts for all the
Right.
components
No,
on the
I
board.
understand. I realize.
And that's where the problem is. Otherwise, yeah, 12 volts, just hook the battery and it will run. It's not that simple.
Well, you just have an extra car. You sit it in a driveway
Uh,
and you let it run all the
yeah.
time and just hook up cables to it.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I want to see that machine hooked up to the car battery while an engine is working and actually survive the
Yeah.
fluctuations.
Yeah.
well, I mean, the battery still gets as far. Yeah, I wouldn't do that anyway, but it's got a regulator. Yeah, never mind. But
Does
like
that new
Gal was
sorry.
saying, you need to have something that will also protect the circuit, and it's not
Exactly.
just taking and lowering the voltage. You have to have all kind of other filters in that board that will protect the computer.
So maybe you can hack one of the new F-150 EVs
Yeah, yeah,
because
it'll
people are,
it'll work on 96 volts. Yeah,
did you hear? I mean, I think this came up before about how people who have them are taking them to free charging stations and driving them home and then powering their house with.
I mean, they
Yeah, but
tell
it'll
you.
power the house for what? For an
I know,
hour?
I know.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
a story because it sounded interesting. It probably doesn't have a lot, depending on where you live and what you're doing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
All right. Let's see what else we have here. So if you're in the Apple ecosystem, Apple has discontinued support for the mid 2012 13-inch MacBook Pro, the last model to include an optical drive. Products are considered obsolete when Apple ceased distribution over 7 years ago, making service and parts unavailable. The laptop was removed from Apple's lineup in 2016, but remained compatible with macOS until Big Sur in 2020. While optical drives had already fallen out of favor, the phase out marks the end of an era for pro users requiring discs for media production. And yes, uh, DVDs, CDs, lately, I mean, they are available in desktops, but not in
They
all
do
of
not
them.
sell them with. You need to choose
You need,
them
yeah, you need
if
to
you
choose
want.
it.
Yeah.
Right. It's not a standard thing. And they're definitely not part of the new latest few years
Yeah.
laptops.
They went the way of the diskette.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was reading a story yesterday that Japan is just doing away with a requirement that when somebody wants to submit something to the government, it has to be on a floppy.
Well, Japan
And
also has stamping requirements,
yeah.
like wax stamps. So their system is completely different, evolution wise, business evolution wise. People still need to go physically uh, um, and use wax stamps. They were one of the only yeah, they were one of the only countries during COVID, right? The during the spread of the pandemic, where business people will still go out like with a valid excuse because they needed official documentation stamped
Huh.
and sealed. Yeah,
Yeah.
very very strange. Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Um, Hulu is in the news. Hulu updated its terms of service to explicitly ban password sharing outside of your primary personal residence. Subscribers will need to comply by March 14th, 2024. Here is the new TOS section in full. Account sharing, unless otherwise permitted by your service tier, you may not share your subscription outside of your household. Household means the collection of devices associated with your primary personal residence that are
So
used by the
these are
individual.
tech companies who
Huh?
are trying to define to me who I trust as part of my house. Yeah, that'll
No,
go.
they explain to you what it is, though. They
No, they
tell you what
explain
is
what
your
they
household, right?
think a household
Yeah, you
is.
never knew what your household was.
Yeah,
Now
exactly.
thanks to Hulu, now you knew.
Yeah. Every
Uh,
time this comes up, right? With YouTube TV, with Netflix, every time it says, "Good luck with that."
well, I mean, they're doing right now what uh, Netflix did,
Yeah.
and a lot of people will comply, and they'll probably make some money.
Uh,
I don't know.
I don't
We'll
know.
wait and see.
I don't remember. I don't remember that these moves specifically are what increase their subscription numbers.
My
Usually,
They say that
they immediately drop, right?
Yeah.
And maybe from an accounting perspective, they might lessen the losses by pulling in a little more money for people who either don't pay attention or, I mean, when I got the notice that my daughter was going to be one of these remote users, it just told me, oh, going forward, your bill is going to be this. And if you didn't notice it and you have auto pay,
Yep. They got
Maybe.
you. Yep.
so maybe they're counting on that.
It was, I mean, in the rest of the story there, they said that they are following Netflix.
Following them off the cliff.
Yeah. Yeah. What was it?
Well,
What was that game? The one that they're all following and falling off the cliff. Oh shoot!
a
Lemmings.
game?
Lemmings.
Oh, Lemmings. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Listen to this here. This is very tricky. Comcast has reluctantly agreed to discontinue its Xfinity 10G network brand name after losing an appeal of the ruling that found the marketing term was misleading. It will keep using the term 10G in other ways, however. Verizon and T Mobile both challenged Comcast's advertising of 10G, a term used by cable companies since it was unveiled in January 2019 by industry lobby group NCTA, the Internet and Television Association. That we wrote in 2019 that the cable industry 10G marketing was likely to confuse consumers and seemed to be a way of countering 5G hype generated by wireless companies. What do you think about when you hear 10G when it's cable?
cable
Gigabits.
10G.
10G.
Gigabits.
Exactly. That's what they were doing, and people were thinking they're getting high speed.
Well,
10G,
wasn't
10
there
gigabyte.
wasn't there something that happened? One of the carriers got smacked down for calling it 5G, right?
Back,
AT&T.
It
yeah.
really means
But that
fifth
was
generation.
wireless.
Yeah, no, I'm saying that. But they got smacked down because it said 5G, 5G, and everybody, oh, 5 gig. No, it's fifth generation.
Yeah.
It's not 5G. And so they
Exactly.
don't.
That's what they were doing here. I mean, and again, they're going 10th generation Xfinity. Now, I'm wondering if there is 6th and 7th and 8th and 9th and 10th, or did they just go because 10 gigabits is something that is a buzzword today, and
To,
that's
to,
what
to
they
cover
did.
their asses, they went and had a guy write
Yeah.
up a standard for all those different generations to say, oh, we're at the 10th generation.
Yep.
Okay, so from 2003 to 2006, it was generation 5. And then so, yeah.
So
Oh, no,
it's I mean,
absolutely. We documented it.
they're trying. I mean, you can't blame somebody for trying. It's very innovative, but
Yeah.
when it's
Well, you can.
done,
It's called the courts.
Yeah, yeah.
If there's fraud involved,
Right.
then you
Yep.
can complain.
Right.
I almost feel bad for Spectrum
Why?
because they're trying desperately to get me to come back.
Yeah.
And there's no way, no
And-
way.
And
I mean, it keeps getting cheaper and cheaper. Oh, this deal, this,
Yes.
that deal, TV. It's like, why would I, oh, the best internet out there. It's like
Uh.
in one direction.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's amazing how much money they spend on it. It's not just a piece of paper. I mean, they send you these plastic.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, that's a lot of junk in the landfill.
I understand the cost to them if they were going to re-engineer the cable system. They'd have to set aside all the uplink channels. Now, I guess on most systems, it's either 2 or 4 channels for uplink. My system, when I had Spectrum, it was only 2. I think I had 8 downstream and 2 up. And
Actually,
What-
no, it was
Well, there's there were four available, but two weren't used.
Oh, okay.
Like if you looked at my modem, it said, and you can
Yeah.
see the two that were
Okay.
initialized and the other two were unused. So, because my uplink speed, the maximum was 10 meg. So, what's their offering
mine
now? Are they
was
up to 20?
mine was 30.
Were you a business customer?
No.
So that's probably their high end is 30.
Yeah, and
Well, I mean, that's okay.
actually right next door, I went to see the dentist just to talk with them and see if I want to switch to them. And we were talking about internet, and I said, "Why do you have Spectrum? You have Google Fiber and AT&T Fiber right in your building, and it's a gig. What do you get from Spectrum?" So he went and dug up the paper, and he had 700 up and down
Yeah, because the business
from
customers
Spectrum.
can get
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Oh,
So
what price?
they have the technology. It's
they
just
do. Oh, it's very expensive.
well,
Yeah. 700.
I mean, look, if they brought 700 to the building, then anybody in the building should be able to get 700
Yeah.
because they already
Well,
put the
it
hardware
might be
there.
fiber. It might be fiber for
I don't-
business customers.
I don't know
Because
that they-
you can't get it in residential. You cannot get it.
No, no,
'Cause it-
no. What
yeah.
I'm saying, oh, I see what you mean. Yeah,
Yeah. Because the infrastructure doesn't support it.
yeah, the coax.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and plus the head end, you'd have
Yeah.
to change the whole head end
Yeah,
out,
yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
maybe the cable could support. I mean, cable has a lot of bandwidth. It's just a matter of you have to have the transceiver on either side that's going to
Mhm.
use those discrete channels.
Yeah.
You have to change all that equipment out. So,
Yeah.
well,
All right, we were talking about UPSs. But UPS. So UPS is cutting 12,000 jobs. That's a different UPS.
Yeah, I saw that.
Or about 2.5% of its global workforce. That's a lot.
Yeah.
The cuts mostly affect managers and contractors. Meanwhile, as the company wrestles with struggling profits and sales, workers are to return to the office 5 days a week, and the company is investing in AI as it pushes to become more efficient
so all the drivers have to return to the office 5 days a week.
all the time.
No, the management, but
I
yeah,
know,
that.
I know,
No,
I
I
realize.
mean, think about it. They're thinking about AI managing the
Yeah.
drivers for now because driverless isn't an option, right?
Yep.
Not yet.
No, but I think that is a good example of a spot for AI because
Yeah.
all of the planning Pam used to do for for the bank she worked for. She was courier manager. So every morning she had special software that she would use that would plan the routes depending on what the needs were for that day. And they had built into it like that whole right turn thing. All the turns should be right. For UPS trucks, when they plan the routes, they plan to have so you're on right hand turns all the time because it's easier to make right turns. You can do a stop at the light and go. So this software did that. So if that could interrogate the need and then just automatically draw the maps out,
Yeah.
it'd be great.
And it can.
Yeah. Until
Definitely.
it screws up.
Yeah. Well,
It's just something goes wrong.
yeah, but I mean, it's not.
AI is as good as the data it's being
That's right.
supplied.
Yeah.
It's just better algorithms. But if you're pouring
but-
junk in,
but-
you're going to get junk out.
But Spence, this is not AI that drives the car.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm talking
So-
about AI that plans the route.
Yeah, and if the
Because
right,
the UPS routes are planned around the whole idea of the
Right.
right turns only.
but the thing is, if it turns out that that's not working for a certain route, the driver will let them know. So it's
Oh,
not,
sure,
not
yeah.
no harm is done.
Oh,
Except
they'll know
it's going
just-
to take longer.
they'll know just based on how many stops he makes
Yeah.
or how long it takes him to get through the
Yeah,
route.
right.
Because they have all that. They figured that all out. I mean,
There was a situation where I was waiting for something that Hannah sent, and it says that it's out for delivery. And I saw the truck driving on Jones Franklin. And it took another like 5 or 6 hours before it got to us.
Yes. Yeah.
And
How?
when I talked
Yeah.
to the driver, he said, "Yeah, we're supposed to do right turns. And
Yeah.
in order to get to you, I had to go all the way out there, and it was interesting. You would never
Yeah.
thought about it. Sorry, what?
It's cool. I mean,
Yeah,
I mean, you think about it. Whoever thought of that,
yep,
it was actually a brilliant idea, and it
yep,
saved them gas and wear and tear. And
yep.
they're going to have a problem though if they have to try to lay off drivers because that's a very strong union. I don't know if they do some union busting recently.
I don't know, but they have a very strong union. I know
They
because my
I know
brother-in-law.
several people that worked for and retired from
Yep,
UPS,
yep.
and they work their asses off.
Oh
These
yeah.
guys, you just always see them, or used to be, you always saw them running, and maybe not so much anymore.
Well, my brother-in-law was one of the feeders that was driving at night with a 18-wheeler, two trailers. With he
Mm,
retired, and he had some back problems, big back problems.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Well,
IBM delivered a company-wide ultimatum to managers who are still working remotely: move near the office or leave the company. All US managers must immediately report to an office or client location at least 3 days a week. I don't understand that client
no,
location.
it's if you're the local manager for an account, you usually have an office. Like the people at IBM have offices at Walmart.
Yeah. Oh,
So yeah, so they're in house. So that's what that means.
okay.
Client managers will have that
Okay.
kind of relationship where they could have an office site. When I worked in the Hudson Valley, one of the sales guys I worked with was the client rep to Central Hudson, the local utility. He had an
Okay.
office at Central Hudson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Regardless of current work location status, according to a memo sent on January 16, viewed by Bloomberg, badge badge in data will be used to assess individual presence. They're going to
Oh
be
gosh.
QR coded.
Wow.
Well,
They're
they're
really
already
serious
QR
about
coded.
it. When are they going to get the uh Elon's implant?
I don't know. What'd you say, Gal?
I mean, they're already been that has already been tracked. Now they're being told, right?
Yeah. Well,
We're gonna check that.
Yep.
Yeah.
um, and it will be shared with managers and human resources.
Ooh.
So
Those,
it just sounds to me,
yeah,
yeah. Uh, First of all, by the way, I am for it, like 100%. I think working in the office, right, is uh work wise, right, is superior. It is less convenient, I would agree, right? But I think in terms of efficiency, in terms of synergy, of working with your peers close by, being available, it is superior, and I understand where the directive comes from. Not only that, I think it's an awesome way of reducing the workforce without laying off anybody
Oh
by
yeah.
choice, right? No,
Yes.
think about
Oh,
it.
this is
They're
not a new
all
thing for IBM. This
exactly
happened for 30 years. They've been telling people your job is here
right,
tomorrow in Denver. Take it or
right.
leave it. Yeah.
So now instead of firing, I don't know, 3%, 5%, or whatever percent, uh, there, I'm guessing there's probably noise about 20 or 30% saying, I'll leave the company once they do that. But once the directive will come, right, it'll be a very small amount.
Yeah.
So I think it's a lot better for IBM, right, in terms of a company saying, from this point forward, you go to the office. If you don't like it, find another place to work, right?
But the fact that they're allowing for the customer location is interesting because
Why? But that was part of the
that's where they want you to be, that kind of camaraderie with the customer.
Of
not your
course.
not your peers. So that no, it's a great idea.
Well, I mean, if they assigned you to the customer, your customer is your peer,
Yeah, no,
right?
that's what I'm saying. That's
Yeah,
why promoting that
yeah.
relationship. Yeah. No, I don't
So
disagree.
I'm all for that. Uh, but now I'm talking about like why now? I am guessing it took them 3 years to finally get the
Yeah.
system hooked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they've
It
been
took
going
them a
through some
long time.
weird times at IBM. That they sold off their services division
Yeah.
as a spinoff, and it wasn't, from what I understand, it really wasn't very profitable ever. I mean, I worked in that part of the business when it was first introduced back in the '80s, where we were told. I went to a meeting with my branch manager who said, "Oh, by the way, I just came from the planning session up in down in Manhattan. We're going to build data centers." And we're like, "What?" We were service people, field engineering. We repaired big mainframes, data systems. We're going to build them? Yes. And we did.
Well,
Well,
that's cloud business, right? But what cloud business today is.
Yeah. Well, this was physical going out and building buildings.
my office is in the
Yeah.
cloud.
Yeah. That was an interesting time to work there. I really enjoyed that part of it.
So they
because-
do have uh, exceptions. They say, if you are in the military or if you
Yeah, I'm
have
sure.
medical stuff, but they said managers who don't agree to relocate and are unable to secure a role that's approved to be remote must separate from IBM. That word is separate.
Cruel.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of people actually, when the pandemic started and you were sent home, actually moved away because say, oh yeah, I'm going to be working from home all
Yeah.
the time, so I'm going to move somewhere else.
Yeah, that definitely happened.
Yep.
Uh, people in the pandemic who, from the company I work with, that lived in New York, moved to Florida,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, and there's no office in Florida, right?
Right.
So it's a risk. But I guess they also got their position changed to remote.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well.
I will I will say this though. Yes, insist on people coming into the office, but but right,
Who's
if
but?
there's one thing that we should have learned is be flexible with the hours you allow people to work. Uh, I remember this was done in Germany, and I think in Holland as well. Uh, they have they have a block of hours in the day. Let's say we're talking about a 9 hour day work, right? The block between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. That is the block where everybody needs to be there, right?
It's flex time.
But you're right. But you could start earlier or start later. Uh, that makes so much more sense. That was done in Germany and in Holland to fight road congestion, right? Traffic time. But this is like be smart like that, right? Allow that flexibility, and you create something, right? You create a pleasant place to work in.
And it's just an interesting side of this that just occurred to me is that we got to remember that this was managers.
Yes.
So typically you don't have a corral of managers, right? You have one manager on the floor and then you have the corral of workers. So I wonder how that will work.
I mean, we
Unless,
had
unless they're going to a site where they have their team is and then they're managing their team. So
I
however,
believe that's
for-
what they're
yeah,
talking about.
yeah.
But yeah.
Gal, what you're talking about was actually done here too. There
Yeah,
were
but there's no way of mandating it, right? So
no. I mean,
these
there were
enterprises, they need to think about it and they need to be active about it. That's what I mean.
people here could start working at 9 or 10 people that worked at the park, and then it's a longer. I mean, they will go back. It was just for the traffic because of
Yeah.
the traffic, and there was like flexible as far as that's concerned. Yeah,
The
I
last few
remember.
years I worked in the park for IBM, they had an interesting program where you work an extra hour for 4 days and you get to
Yeah.
go home at 12 on Friday,
Yep.
which was wonderful. We loved it because a bunch of us that would work together would go play golf. We get out of work and have the clubs in the car and go to a little local
Yeah.
golf course off of Lumley Road and play 9 holes. It was fun.
Yep. All right. Remember we were talking about iRobot and Amazon? Well,
Okay.
Amazon
Yeah.
will not move forward with the planned acquisition of vacuum maker iRobot, the two said last Monday, citing no path to regulatory approval
Mm.
as the deal breaker. Amazon announced its plans to acquire iRobot for 1.7 billion in August 2022. iRobot said separately that it will lay off about 350 jobs or 31% of its workforce as a result.
Jeez.
Huh?
That's
A lot.
rough.
Yeah. That's it's a bunch. Yep. Yep. But yeah, a lot of people were up in arms. And now Amazon is getting into our house and they can see the whole thing.
They
Remember?
already
Yeah,
see
but I
it.
don't. But I doubt that is
I,
what the regulator was
yeah, I
interested
don't
in.
know what it was, but apparently, I mean, look, it's taking forever to get to this point. Um, I yesterday I was reading some story, and you know how you have ads on certain newspapers and stuff. So I saw something about Capital One shopping.
Yeah.
I was never aware
Uh,
of this.
it's you know what Rakuten is,
Yeah,
or
Rakuten. Yeah,
yeah, Rakuten. So that is exactly that.
it's you.
It's basically that. It's there's a few. First of all, Microsoft Edge has one built in,
Oh,
like just system. You can turn it off, but it's built in and on by default. Uh, I think Brave has its own. Um, and you have Rakuten that you can install as an add-on. Uh, Probably the most successful one is Rakuten. They've been the first. They were Ebates first, right? They started this whole rebate thing, like online rebate, automatic online rebates. But the contender after them is Slick Deals. And their
hmm,
extension today not only offer coupons and link to deals on their pages, but it also provide cashback. But yeah, Capital One is the only one that I know that is backed by a bank, right? But it's like I don't
I don't
know.
know.
There's
I went
something
ahead and I
always
said,
fishy
okay.
about their app. So I don't know.
I decided let me install it and see what's going on. The world, I'm getting a buzz in my ear. Do you guys hear it?
No.
Okay, good. Um,
So did you guys see the Apple announcement?
who?
Apple announced their Vision Pro goggles, Apple
Oh,
Vision Pro.
yeah,
Really, it's a fascinating concept because it's not just um, a monitor, a screen, but it's also a clear screen.
yeah.
So it's
And
augmented reality. But
how much?
I'm trying to find the price. It's very
$3,500.
yes, yeah. And now it's
Yeah.
just giving people, and they're showing people sitting together in a room with these goggles on, talking to each other. This is like giving people another reason for people not to leave their house. This is just
Hey, They missed the memo on Google Glass. That's all.
Yeah, well,
What do they call it? What's the name of the Apple one?
Vision Pro, Apple Vision
Yeah,
Pro.
Vision Pro. Yeah,
I want the Apple Vision for idiots, the cheap one.
yeah.
The one that costs, $50.
I was reading.
That will be made by Meta.
Yeah. How much money did they lose on this already?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just
I-
never got there.
The thing is, I have right. I have the Meta Oculus goggles, and I always plan on there are some nice games on it. I just don't find myself going there.
Hmm.
Like I really wish I had more time, and I don't think the younger generation either. It's like it's a fad that just backed down. I'm sure there's still millions of users, right? It's just it died down. There were probably hundreds of millions before or something, and
Yep.
it really died down. Reminds me of the fad around the electric balance boards, the scooters, the hoverboards,
Hmm.
right? That was a fad,
Yeah.
and then it disappeared.
Yep.
Yeah.
You still see a few
Uh,
of them out there, but
well,
it's
yeah.
like,
There's always.
Yeah, but I mean, every other week you would see another brand trying to sell it
Oh,
or something,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
stuff like that. It was like this explosion, and then
Yeah.
it died out.
What does people see those go by on the sidewalk? It said, there goes an organ donor.
Um,
Yeah.
As far as you mentioned Meta, Meta is poised to become Wall Street's top comeback kid. It was only a couple of years back that Facebook owners suffered the single biggest market value destruction in stock market history. But the company has come a long way since then. On Thursday, it dazzled shareholders with yet another impressive quarterly earning report as the social media giant focuses on cutting back costs and shoring up billions in profits. The stock rose as much as 21% on Friday, poised to add roughly 200 billion to its market capitalization. This would be the biggest single session market value addition, eclipsing the 190 billion gains made by Apple and Amazon in 2022. They're going back and forth. It's interesting. But I think it was last week or the week before that they said they passed Apple as far as I think it was them, the most valuable company. I can't remember if it was them or if it was Microsoft now. I don't
It's
know.
Microsoft.
Okay. But yeah, I mean they're coming back.
I just have to say that Wall Street right now, it is a very, very dangerous place. If you're smart and can make money, it's great. But
Yep.
the it is so it has been going for so long on speculation and anxiety and exuberance. What did Greenspan say years ago about the market? This is like 10 years ago. Un unrealistic exuberance. Because you want the market to do well. It's not based on actually good earnings or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just scary because it is unrealistic. It's not sustainable, but it keeps saying that and it keeps going. But yeah, that's why
Uh,
the biggest company in the world or the biggest it doesn't really mean anything.
Yep.
So you got to
Yep.
that's what based on some numbers that they're putting forward doesn't mean they don't have bad things going on. Size based on shares or value of this. If it's the stock value that's making them the most valuable company, that doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't. According to a job listing spotted by AFTV News, Amazon makes it clear that the company plans to ditch Android for its own Vega OS operating system. The new platform is set to rely on React Native and would require new apps to be built. This is coming from 9 to 5 Google. As spotted by AFTV News, a job listing from Amazon was looking for a Fire TV experience software developer engineer. The job listing description makes it abundantly clear that a part of the role is focused on the transition from Android to the rumored Vega OS, because it quite literally says that what is happening with Amazon saying that Fire TV is transitioning from FOS/Android, Fire OS/Android, to native/Rust, and even explicitly mentioning React Native. The listing, which has since been removed, provides extremely strong evidence of Amazon's plans, which is probably why it was so quickly removed. I, I mean, I don't know anything about those. Android is Android.
Yeah.
What
React
is
is a platform. Is Think of it as a JavaScript library developed by Meta.
okay?
It's not an OS. It's a platform. It's like a language extension.
Oh,
So Vega OS is going to be an OS. It's going to be based on React. That's what they're saying. While Android is based on Java, right? So it's
now the way I
it doesn't
understand
mean
it,
anything.
the way I
At this point,
understand
it
it,
doesn't mean anything. It means it's going to be different. That's what it means.
yeah, but I mean, and if they say new apps will be required, so if you have a
Yeah.
Fire TV stick, does that
Yeah.
mean that it will stop working at a certain point because they changed?
I
No,
don't
I
think
don't think
I
so.
doubt they'll do it with existing Fire TV already sold.
Mhm.
It'll probably be
The new one,
with
yeah.
new hardware being sold. That's my guess. I'm not sure, right? It'll be a bit like the split that OS Mac did when they switched from ARM based to Intel based and then again to their own. I think it'll be something like that. It's okay, up until now we did this. Now we're going to do that. We're going to, support for a while the old platform, and then we're going to switch to something new. They are in for a rough ride. I think they know that. But they've already been in a rough ride. If you look
Yeah.
at the Amazon App Store, I doubt it is bringing them any money at all. I doubt it is meaningful in any way. So application developers, they're not losing a lot because I doubt anybody is making something for the Amazon App Store that they're not making for another market in the Android world, right? So yeah.
What is the port like, you think, to port from Amazon, from
Oh,
Android
it'll
to
be
Amazon?
completely a
It's
complete
easy.
rewrite. But
Oh, it's a
I mean, it's
complete
a complete
rewrite?
rewrite because this will be based on a different technology.
Oh,
So, but rewrites are not necessarily hard, especially today with AI tools and stuff like that that help with coding. I am guessing. Uh, so here's my prediction. If you look at new platforms that came out in the last 5 years, right? There is no abundance of applications for these platforms because nobody wants to ride a new bandwagon, not understanding what they'll get out of it. So it's on Amazon to push for new apps and for new experiences. So that's why it's going to be a bumpy ride. It's about convincing people that this is good.
I my one major complaint about the Fire OS is that they only allow one browser, and that's the Silk browser, and it's crap. And so you look up on Roku. It said, "Show me the Roku available browsers." There's the 13 best web browsers available for your Roku device. Show me the
Yeah, but
best
they're all
one on.
crap.
No, are they all crap?
I
Because I
think,
mean,
yeah.
but the one on, I mean, the Silk one is just. I actually added a keyboard to make it a little easier, but it's horrible. It does really badly with any kind of when you try to open up to watch some video or something streaming. Bad.
Mm.
I mean,
Oh,
if I can take the exact same stream and put it on my laptop, it's perfect. It's fine. So I can't. I've got the 4K Fire Stick now, which means I've got um, Wi-Fi 6, and I've got a Wi-Fi 6 router. So and I've got very good connection, very good speed. It just doesn't make any difference. So maybe it's the processor.
oh. All right. Web security and CDN giant CloudFlair said it was hacked by a threat actor using stolen credentials to access internal systems, code repositories, along with an AWS environment, as well as Atlassian, Jira, and Confluence. The goal of the attack, Cloudflare says, was to obtain information on the company's infrastructure, likely to get a deeper foothold. According to Cloudflare, more than 5,000 individual production credentials were rotated following the incident. Close to 5,000 systems were triage, test and staging system were physically segmented, and every machine within the Cloudflare global network was reimaged and rebooted. Can you imagine that kind of work? That
Ah,
would,
remember, we're talking about a lot of automation doing it.
well, yeah,
Uh,
but still,
but yeah, planning it is hard.
phew.
I would agree. Yeah.
I mean, they are huge. They are giant. But it happens to the best of them.
Well, that's what I don't get. I see an attack. I do not see an exposure.
Not yet. Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Yeah. We'll have to wait and see. It just, I mean, amazing. And it's going to turn out that somebody
well,
left something
mm,
open.
probably.
Yeah.
No, they came to a motel room at night, knocked on the door, and said, "Give us your credentials."
No.
That could be part of it. That definitely could be part of it.
Um, Google's Bard. I mean, did you? I did not use it specifically. It may be part of Chrome whenever I use Chrome. Any of you guys used it?
I tried it a while back. I haven't tried it since. Uh, Mainly during the hype around ChatGPT
Yeah.
and the Bing. It wasn't impressive. It was more wrong than it wasn't useful
Now,
back then.
okay. So
I don't know
now
if it's better.
it's adding AI image generation, catching up on a feature that rival ChatGPT Plus has had for months. Users can prompt Bard to generate photos using Google's Imagine 2. Text to image model. Bard now, powered by Google's Gemini Pro large language model, was always going to have image generation. It was assumed the more powerful Gemini Ultra model would power it. However, that model remains in development. And that's the first time I read anything about Gemini since Hannah sent me some kind of video about Gemini, and I said, never heard of it.
Yeah, Gemini is the
So,
engine
yeah,
that, the name of the engine that Google run.
yep,
Right? Microsoft is running ChatGPT behind. So Copilot for Microsoft is basically ChatGPT.
right. These
You can
days.
buy ChatGPT directly, and etc. etc.
Mhm. Um, drones. Snap is recalling all 71,000 of its Pixie flying selfie camera drones because their batteries pose a fire hazard. This is coming from The Verge. Snap and the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission say you should immediately stop using the Pixie flying camera, remove the battery, and stop charging it. Now that there have been 4 reports of the battery bulging, 1 fire, and 1 minor injury, then you can get a full refund for the entire drone and or any batteries you own. Sounds like we're talking at least $185 back to you, unless you bought it on sale. You don't need a receipt. You can apply for a refund even if you got it as a gift. You can fill out a form to receive a prepaid return label to return the drone. Snap says you will need a to safely dispose of the batteries yourself. Where do you think they'll end up? Safely. Amazing.
Yeah, because they don't
Yeah,
can't allow it to
right.
be shipped.
Correct. Yeah. No, I understand that.
I mean, I bought the UPS, right? And
Yeah.
I was reading. I bought a refurbished one, by the way,
Yeah.
and I was reading the reviews. First of all, they ship it this, so you need to open and you need to connect the battery.
Yeah.
So
All of them. Yeah.
there's like stickers all over, but people, first of all, they miss it and
Yeah.
they write bad reviews, right? That's number one.
Yeah. It didn't work.
But but the most bothering one was, right? You bought something, you got a dud, it doesn't work, you cannot ship it back. These are non-returnable items
Wow.
because you are not allowed to ship back the battery.
The batteries, but you can take the batteries out.
Yeah, but I mean that's the thing. It's like
So what's the warranty good for?
Amazon isn't dealing with UPSs,
So
right?
so what's good is the warranty.
So that's the thing. I don't know. That's a head scratcher, right?
Interesting.
Yeah. And a lot of people are complaining, I can't return it back. This is crap. I won't get my money back, right? Stuff like
Mhm.
that. I don't know if it was ever resolved. Mine was excellent. I took the chance. I actually bought the 3 year, 4 year coverage, which was a few 10, another few
Yeah.
$10 because this will give me peace of mind in case something actually happens.
Right.
Then I have some sort of warranty. But
Yeah. Talking about warranties, um, not this past Christmas, but of 2022, Kathy bought a Dyson vacuum cleaner, and she bought one for Hannah too. Last week, Hannah is coming in the office with a big box, and she said, "Dad, I need to see if we can both figure this out. the vacuum will not. You know how you put it on the ground and then you flatten it so
Yeah.
you can start working. It will not do it. It
Yeah.
stays locked. And she started taking stuff apart. Um, in looking into it, I saw a broken part inside.
Yeah.
So I took it out and I said, "Honey, it's broken. Even if we could do, I mean, it's broken." And I was surprised to see that everything inside is made out of plastic, flimsy plastic. A lot of parts of it. So I said, "No, let's not take it apart because we'll never be able to put it back together." And Kathy came by and she said, "Well, I can take it back to Costco."
True.
And she did. And they took
Yeah.
it, but they
That's
just gave
Costco.
they gave her a refund. They didn't give her
Yeah,
a
because they don't sell it anymore.
yeah.
They just had it recently, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this was a recent purchase?
Yeah, it was like I said,
Oh, this past Christmas.
not this past Christmas, the one before that.
Yeah, because I know I was in the store recently and I saw them again,
Uh,
Dyson. You
it
can go
was
to Walmart and buy a $79 knockoff.
and
Now it's not the same, but you
and
can
look,
for $79 if it lasts a year.
what do you mean it's not the same?
It's not a Dyson. It's a knockoff,
So what?
but it works. I mean, I bought one. I didn't. There's one there down literally for $79, but there was
Yeah.
one Wise made one that I bought at Walmart like 129.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the super full featured, but it works for a quick run around the house and do some
Yeah.
vacuuming. It works great.
Yeah, that's what I mean. When I saw this, I said, okay, so ours is going to break pretty soon also. And Hannah said she read, and there were a lot of complaints
Complaints.
about this
Yeah.
happening. And I said, but we're not buying another Dyson. It's ridiculous. It's for,
So I bought a Dyson
yeah.
last year.
Mhm.
I think during no, it wasn't Black Friday, but like this year, I bought a Dyson. I bought a refurbished one for
Yeah.
150, not a portable one that plugs to the
Yeah,
wall.
that's what this was.
It cost like a regular good
Yeah,
vacuum cleaner,
150.
right?
Yeah.
And it works better than a good regular vacuum cleaner. That's
How
all I can say.
how do you what do you mean it works better?
I mean, because it uses their mechanism of what they call it,
Cyclone.
cyclone.
Well, yeah, but
The whole cyclone idea is terrific. Their patent is very good, right?
Yeah.
So
Well,
the way
theirs
they
is a
do
lot
it,
more sophisticated than most of them.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so what I bought was something that is 4 years old in design or something. They sell new ones. I bought it from Wood.
Mhm.
The price was good, right? Uh, that's I cannot. I see the price tags on Dyson devices,
$500.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it makes 0
Sense.
sense. I
Yeah.
understand
the one with the ball?
they are
This-
making a profit and all that. I do not understand why people are buying them in droves. That's
Many,
what I don't understand.
Is it the
Kathy,
one with the ball?
Yeah, the one with
Yeah.
the ball I bought.
Yeah.
Kathy bought it. It was cheap at Costco. It was like $209. It was the thing that had something to do with the pet's hair, and so she got it.
Well, that's the filters.
Yeah.
A number of years ago, there was a vacuum called the Rainbow,
Yeah.
and it
I
it
had one
a
of them too.
water. You put water in it.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're still around anymore.
Yeah.
That was an idea that whose time came and went. But that was what all it used to. You went to people's houses and people threw, oh, I got a rainbow. And this was people telling other friends I bought a rainbow. It's like, really?
Big deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but that's interesting. I mean, for 150, because now Hannah has another vacuum, but it doesn't work as good. So I was trying to find out what else is out there, but that's good that you're saying. So maybe I can find something refurbished. I like refurbished equipment because that means a person went through it. It
Right.
wasn't.
That's exactly what I say
Yep.
every time.
Yeah.
Yeah. This specific one, not the batch. This specific one passed QA.
Yeah. Well, that's right.
Yeah.
Rainbow is still around, and it's called the Rainbow Cleaning System, and you have to get an in-house demonstration to buy it.
Of course.
Oh, it's like what's
Like
selling that
Hoover
way?
used to be.
Hoover.
Remember there
Yeah.
were
Used to
Hoover
be.
salesmen years ago?
You
I
know
think
what?
in Israel they're still like that.
And I told Hannah, I said, in the garage, I have probably a 40-year-old vacuum cleaner made by Kirby, and it's all metal. It is completely metal.
Yeah, but it's
I
first of all it's with bags, right?
Yeah. Oh, she would rather have a bag
Yeah,
if
but you could turn it
possible.
into a paint
Yeah.
sprayer.
Well, no. Do you know something? I would rather have a bag also because
Yeah.
from what I
No. So
Oh, it's because of the
that's the
static.
difference.
Yeah.
no,
No,
because
so
it
that's the
blows
difference.
dust out.
That's the difference between this entire situation is the the cyclone process. You do not get diminishing of sucking power. The bag the
Yeah.
suction mechanism for those with the bag, right? The moment dust starts accumulating, suction power goes down. That's why you want that. Not every bagless solution is a cyclone, but the cyclone one, right? That was what Dyson did different.
Well, they were showing videos that Dyson also does not blow it out.
Well,
Uh,
their cyclone design is one where the dirt gets caught up in the center and deposited in a certain place without interfering with the flow of the air
yeah.
through the vacuum,
Yeah.
which is a cool idea. Cyclone precipitator is the technology they use. It used to use it on, well, you still buy it like for your wood shop. You can buy a vacuum system for your wood shop. It's like a 55-gallon drum with this thing that sits on top, and it uses a cyclone precipitator to um, make it efficient, doesn't clog. That's what they used to use for silos, for grain elevators, and that was
I don't know.
cyclone systems. Yeah. I'll
But
set
yeah,
you up for
I'll
an
look in.
appointment, Amnon, for the rainbow. Can I? What day of the week is good for you? It looks like a robot now. Used to be very different looking.
uh,
Interesting. Wonder how much it costs.
yeah, I remember the Kirby and the Electrolux, and I mean these were.
Electrolux looked like a rocket.
But
Remember
they
that?
they had the salesman that would go. You couldn't go to the store and just buy it.
I picked up an Electrolux vacuum. I think I was married maybe 1 or 2 years. It was when we lived out on Long Island, and I drive down the street and I see one sitting at a curb. Oh, all
Wow.
the accessories, everything was sitting there,
Yeah.
and I brought it home, and the only thing that was wrong with it was where the cord got plugged into the socket, because it actually had a removable cord. The socket where the cord plugged in was burned up,
Uh-huh.
so I just hardwired it,
Yeah.
and it was great. Yeah.
Yeah.
This
Yep.
was vacuums 2K now.
That's it. My daughter would always make fun of me. Dad, you go to the museum to see the history of the vacuum. And one time when we were on a trip, I think it was in the UK, we went to an industry museum, and they had a whole hall dedicated to the history of the vacuum cleaner. And I was like, I took pictures of it. Oh, this is so great. Oh,
Good.
it's great. Yeah,
All right.
Well,
Let's.
that's because we're engineers, right?
that's
We
it.
see not by not not the certificate, it's the mind. We see something. I don't know. I look at a selfie stick, right, and I see every part, what the design that came into it, right? Every crease, every crevice, every part of it is designed. Somebody thought
Yeah.
about why it needs to be in this angle, right? And so yeah, I get that. I get that completely.
All right. Let's get into this, and Gal has probably a lot to say about this. Quantum companies received 50% less venture cap funding last year as investors switched to generative AI or shied away from risky bets on Silicon Valley startup. Progress in quantum computing is being made by but practical applications of the technologies are still likely years away. And the rest is all about numbers and things like that. That they drop and they went up and they were high and they all that. When I was talking with Gal before the show about this, um, he didn't exactly agree with their assessment of practical applications and progress.
Right.
So
So quantum computing,
yeah.
right? The problem starts with just the term because there is a lot that goes into that. And what happened in the past, I don't know, 3 years, there was a real hype around the possibilities of quantum computing and what it will bring. And everybody saw the chandelier that IBM built, uh, and um, and every investor wanted a piece of wanted to go on the bandwagon, right? Wanted to go get on that train, and but the thing is that quantum computing, the term general quantum computers, um, those are really far into the future. Those do not exist yet. Uh, the what exists is a very limited way of exploring quantum computing. And if you look at the terrain today of either businesses or academics around it, it is mostly research. And that is what that article states as it's mostly research, right? The problem is that it diminishes completely the possibilities of um, uh, now practical use immediately, right? On the immediate scale. So general general quantum computers, they don't exist yet.
Hmm.
They're not in a production ready way. Only in as a research toy. Okay, research device. I won't call them a toy. They're very complex. They're very what they're doing is very but we don't know what to make of it yet. Like humanity doesn't know, right? Scientists don't know. But specifically, the company that I work for, uh, they are using quantum computing, specifically something called quantum annealers, uh, to deal with optimization problems. And there, the effect is staggering. It is amazing. Optimization problems are problems that do not require a definitive single answer, right? So it is in essence, it is completely different uh, than um, uh, than the way we think about computers. About they get a specific set of parameters in, they will give us a specific set of answers out. And so quantum computing provides a way to deal with optimization problems, which is you get a specific set of parameters in, but you will get a probabilistic answer at the end, right? And so that will change every time you run it. It is very different than computing, as I said, but it shrinks the time compared to let's call it traditional computing. It shrinks the time exponentially as the data set that you give it in grows. So we're talking about things that with traditional computing, even if you spread it across tens of thousands of CPUs running in parallel, you can shrink um, a single a calculation, a very large calculation, from 3 weeks to 2 minutes. And we've done it. I've seen that
Mhm.
happening, and it is mind blowing, right? And what we did is we actually did that, right, with uh we ran the traditional computing afterwards to test the results, because those we know, we understand how the calculation works, right, in traditional computing. And so we allowed that computing, and the results were always up to par. And that is amazing, and that is available now,
Mhm.
right? And there are companies, not only the company that I work with, there are companies that are making use of that. There's a specific the there's a few quantum chip designers, makers, that sell quantum computing in the cloud, right? One of them is D-Wave, that the company used. Uh, uh, there was a nice article back then in Ars Technica about what we do and how we use D-Wave and stuff like that. I'm no longer with the company, so I don't know what they've did since I've left. That's a few months back, and I know that um, they did have discussion of using other technologies to show that they are not limited by who provides the quantum
Mhm.
computing
Which makes
stuff.
sense.
Yeah, and so it is amazing. So in the world of optimization problems, right? Which it sounds like a unique thing, but the company I worked was, they were dealing with chemistry and finding chemistry chemical molecules for drugs and for additives. Uh, but quantum computing is also used by there's a port that uses quantum computing to manage loading docks and transport of containers, and fill up of containers and stuff like that. So uh, the the implementation, the option to do it, use it today, implement it, get the benefits of it, are already existing. General quantum computing, right, which is not just annealing. Annealing is just one aspect of how quantum mechanics work. And in general, quantum computers, it's about basically using a lot of concepts from quantum mechanics in a computer setting. Um, the most famous one that is known is quantum tangling, which there is a if the application of quantum tangling will actually work properly, right? It will allow uh, long distance. I'm talking light years away communication instantly without any latency, stuff like that. But that's we're so far from even getting from understanding how that solution will look like, right?
Mhm.
It's just the theory exists, the application isn't there yet. And so yes, we are looking at something huge. It's just investors, they thought, oh, it's huge almost now, right? And now they're backing out. I still hope that articles like that, they do not uh, create uh, uh, they
A
do not
trend.
cause uh, yeah, they do not cause people to lose sight of what already works within that world,
Mm.
because that is absolutely mind-blowing, and that's available today. There's one other aspect of that article. They said everybody is moving to generative AI,
Yeah.
and that is a clear indication that just generic AI is just another fad. And I can say it in terms of the difference between using a quantum computer and using generative AI. Generative AI cannot do that that specific thing with optimization problems, for example, because the larger the data set, the slower it becomes. It's not as if they can suddenly invent new answers. They must work within the existing set of answers. With the optimization problem that I talked about before, the idea of was identifying novel chemistry combinations, basically, right? Novel chemistry molecules and see if they fit. That means you're not working with the known. You're actually looking at the unknown and trying to find a combination that will work for you. There's no answers, and it's working in a set. That's something that generative AI cannot do. Generative AI can only work with you. You'll first need to build uh, the entire chemical space, which is billions upon billions upon billions of molecule combination, right? And that's something that generative AI can't even touch. It will always be limited, and that's true for other answers that needs to come, right? It's not necessarily, it cannot necessarily be based on the known, and that is what generative AI does. And so, yes, it's another fad, but they're not. They can't really compete in one another. They're in different fields, and the investor move from one to another. It just shows that this is about hype, right?
Yeah.
There was a huge hype last year or the year before. Yeah, the year before, right? I mean, Time Magazine put it on their uh, Man of the Year. I think it was the Quantum or the Word of the Year or something, and it was all that hype. Uh, Maybe it's a good thing that it went away. I just hope that investor wise, right? The smart investors are sticking around because they understand what's at hand.
I'm
That's
sure
it.
the smart ones will. I mean,
Yeah,
that's the
yeah.
difference
But
between.
for my friends who run that company, right? I really wish that they get to meet those smart investors, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
my
that's.
personal stake in it, but that's it.
Yeah. All right. Good analysis. Now, we all see these commercials about T-Mobile home internet. So T-Mobile has tweaked its term of service for its home broadband users to add a new clause. If you are a heavy internet user that passes 1.2 terabyte of data in a monthly billing cycle, you may have your speed slowed in time of congestion. Why are you shaking your
Yeah,
head?
I mean, I'm not surprised. Put it that way.
That tells me that they oversold it.
Of course, they oversold it.
Yeah. Time of congestion. It's amazing. I mean, I already paid for it, and now you're putting limitation on me. You said it's unlimited. It's
Yeah,
just
but you signed the contract that says that we can
yeah,
change the
yeah,
terms
yeah.
whenever we want,
Correct. I
right?
agree. Yeah. Yep. All right. Let's see what else is here. Oh, yes. So we talked about Amazon Prime Video starting to have ads. So it has been a free perk for those who subscribe to the e commerce giant free shipping service. But if you're a US Prime subscriber, things changed from last week. We first learned of the planned change back in September of last year, with the implementation date announced in an email to customers in December. If you want to retain the ad free experience, you have to hand over an extra $3 per month, $2.99. The Wall Street Journal notes Amazon's claim that it has a lower ad load than most ad supported services.
For now.
For now, right. Amazon presentation said the average ad load per hour is expected to be between 2 and 3.5 minutes per hour.
We'll see.
What? Well, yes,
We'll
we'll
see.
see. Right. And it may be like that in the beginning, but I don't think it's going to
Yeah,
be
at the
too
beginning,
fat.
exactly. For
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which would be meaningfully smaller than traditional television and most other streaming services. Some commercials would appear before a program begins playing, while others would interrupt it. We're talking in the US now. I thought in the beginning they were saying that this is going to happen in other parts of the country.
Yeah, but their advertisers are all from the US.
Yeah,
Like
well.
it wouldn't help them in other parts. Come on.
Yeah. And this is also interesting here. Google will no longer be keeping a backup of the entire internet. I didn't know that Google did that before.
I mean, they're indexing everything.
Well,
That means
yeah.
a backup, basically.
Google
you went
searches.
to cache you actually know it because you could see cached
Yeah.
views.
Yeah, but it's whatever you're looking for. It's not like what archive.org does when they actually.
Well, it works exactly the same as archive.org.
All right. Google searches cached links have long been an alternative way to load a website that was down or had changed. But now the company is killing them off. Google search liaison, Danny Sullivan, confirmed the feature removal in an X post, saying the feature was meant for helping people access pages when way back you often couldn't depend on page loading. These days, things have greatly improved, so it was decided to retire it. Cached pages are the worst thing, in my opinion. And
No.
yes, they are, especially when you are in like developing websites.
You're talking about something completely different.
Why? They're
So
talking about pages
their
loading.
cached no,
Yeah.
their cached paging that
Yeah.
they're talking about is okay, you did the search, right?
Yeah.
And you want to see the content, but you don't want to go to that site. So you see a cached version of that page in Google, not the cache version through some
For your
caching
cache.
mechanism
Yeah.
on their end.
Okay.
You're talking about caching mechanism on your web server. That is something completely different.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. I stand correct. And we talked
I
about.
mean, it's just about that. It's sad that it's going away. I just hope that as they're doing that, they're also funneling some funds to the archive.org. That's all. Because they are going to keep on doing that.
Yeah, they're not going to funnel funds to archive.org. You know.
Well,
that.
I think they do provide some funding, but probably very limited. It is a donation, right? So
Yeah. Yeah, I do it once a year because I use them. So Mozilla claims in a new 74-page research report that Microsoft repeatedly used harmful design and dark patterns, we talked about that, to push users toward Microsoft Edge and away from rival browsers like Mozilla's Firefox and Google's Chrome browser. Microsoft uses the harmful pre-selection, visual interference, trick wording, and disguised ads patterns to skew user choice, the report argues, adding that Microsoft's harmful design practices mean users are unable to download, install, use, or set as default an alternative browser without interference. And it's true. These days, try and if you get a new computer, try and install Firefox. It used to be straightforward. Now you have to interact with Windows and uh
Do you really, 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 really
yeah,
want to
yeah.
install Firefox?
Actually, actually, not completely true.
Why?
All you need to do is open the terminal and type in winget space
Yes,
install
but that's not how
space
most people do it.
Firefox.
Most
Yeah.
people aren't going to be able to do that, though.
Uh
No, come on,
I
Kyle.
do not agree. I no no.
No,
Let
the
me explain
person
what
who
I
goes to
mean.
buy a machine at Best Buy is not going to do this.
If you first of all, if you want to install Firefox, right, then you'll probably uh, know that you need to go and install a piece of software, right? Right. So you already know you need to do something with the computer. Now, there's a set of instructions that you're going to follow. The first time, it's going to be annoying. Like the first time you had to go and download an exe file and run it and it installs, it's annoying. I agree, right? But learning to type actually, you won't need to open a terminal. All you need to do is open the run with Windows R, which still exists, right? Even though it's hidden, you can invoke it. And so you type winget install Firefox, right? Or Mozilla.firefox or something like that, and it'll install it. It won't ask you questions. It won't do anything. It'll be just there.
I can
The
tell you
thing
based
is that
on
we
the
need to train people now to do that. That's
that would
all.
be good because now the customer base that's out there that I deal with who are not
Yes.
necessarily would never do
Right.
that.
The same thing with
I
me.
do not. I look.
They will. They'll
You
tell you they won't. They won't. They don't want to do the simplest thing. It doesn't matter whether you explain it to them or not. They say, "Oh, can you remote in and do it
right,
for
but you can. You.
me?"
This is something. This is a lot easier, right? These are a lot easier instructions to give over the phone than anything else because you do not
True. I
need to
have
tell them
not
click
tried it.
here, click here, click here,
Yeah.
click here, click here, right? So you do Windows R, winget space install space Firefox because winget is already part of Windows 11. Finally, right? It does exist in Windows 10. You need to install it, which is burden. It is a burden, right? But with Windows 11, it is as simple as that. It's finally gotten to the point where FreeBSD ports and then Debian package delivery, right? What those OSs brought to us. We're
If
finally there.
if people could roll their eyes around the back of their head, they would do it because it's
I
the
know.
people that I deal with, they they would literally they'd be like, "I won't do this. You can't," and they just would. They'll go blank and they'll walk away.
Yeah, but then I would ask a very
Uh,
simple question: why do you want Firefox?
look.
Because that's what they had before.
Look. The point
You
here
see?
is the point here is 3, 2, 3, 4 years ago to install Firefox to replace your browser was a cinch. You go to firefox.com or you type in installing Firefox and it will take you to firefox.com and there was a box to download it and then you install it and then it would ask you, do you want to make it the default? And you say yes, and yes, that's it. From now on,
Yeah.
when I click on a link, it opens the file. Today it's not that simple.
So that's what I'm saying. Stop saying that. That's not true. Today is a lot more simpler than it was a year before, and 2 years before, and 3 years before. I don't even need to open Internet Explorer or Edge.
Wait, no. You speak. It's not easier. It can be A lot
No, it's
simpler.
easier.
No,
It
because
is
first you
easier.
have
The fact that you do not know about it doesn't
right.
make it less
Okay,
easier.
but you see, that's the thing now. If today a user is going, how do you want the user to know about Winget?
How does he know to download Firefox?
Because they did it before.
So
No, you type
all that
in,
will happen is that Firefox on their web page for downloading,
Yeah,
they will also have the option
that
type in
that would be
Winget.
that will work,
That'll happen.
and
but
then
it's not.
then Microsoft will shut them down.
Wait, no, no, no,
No,
but it's not there. That's the
it's not
point.
there yet. I agree.
Yeah.
But
So
that's what I'm saying. Look, the only thing we can do,
yeah,
right?
we can tell
Nobody,
people.
exactly. Somebody told somebody to
Yes,
go
yes,
what it is to open a web page and download,
yes,
which is
absolutely.
which is the most terrible thing you can think of. Go into that dark alley that you've never visited before, click on something, right, that will download something to your computer. You have no way of vetting whether it's the right thing, right? And it'll install, right? That's what we're telling
That's
people
what
today.
everybody, or let's put it this way, that's what
That
99.9%
is
of
what
users
everybody
will
was
do.
trained
Yeah,
to. It doesn't
right.
make it easier. It
No,
doesn't make it simpler. It's just something they already know. But it's not good, right?
where
And there is a better and simpler and
yes,
easier
but
way.
but wait, let me interrupt you. That is easy to do, and that is simple to do when you
Right.
compare it to how today is. Now, because it changed and there are different ways of doing it now,
No, I'm
they're
comparing it to what it was 10 years ago. You needed to know the address to what you
yes,
wanted to download.
yes.
So all I'm saying, instead of typing that address into an address bar, you type it into another bar, the run bar,
Well,
and you put the words Winget installed before them. It's basically the same
it's
thing,
it
right?
is if
It's
you
just
are
a different set of training. You need to train people to trust
now
this
you're saying
process.
the right word. People need
But
to know
that's
about it.
easier.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. It
yeah,
is easier,
yeah.
right? So now, if I need to tell somebody over the phone, do this and do that, it's no longer take your mouse, make sure you're on the address bar. No, not the other address bar, right? Because they are always put in the wrong place, right? And you type in this, make sure you have an HTTPS and not an right. All that is gone. It's gone.
Carl, you are
So
right.
yeah,
I've just reviewed the procedure, and you are right that it would certainly be easier
exactly.
if we have the patience to try to train people to do it. Because I'll tell you, there are times when it's not worth it to me, because
No,
the
I know
people,
exactly
they
what you
don't
mean.
want to
I know
know.
exactly what
You
you're
know, it's
talking about.
just it's
Yeah,
easier for me to just go do it. So I
Here,
know.
I just went to Google
yeah,
and I typed installing Firefox in Windows 11. Okay, that's what
yeah.
most people will do.
I
So
agree.
what does it tell you? It's first of all, it says installing Firefox from the Microsoft Store requires Microsoft 10 or Windows 11. I mean, Windows 10 or Windows 11.
Right, and it does exist in the Microsoft Store, by the way.
It
So
does.
it's also just a click. You didn't even need to open a browser.
Well, now interesting. But I'm looking here,
Yeah,
but there's no information about any kind of Wingate.
because Winget, look,
It should be
Winget,
there. Somebody should.
I agree. I agree it should be there. There is still a notion that point and clicking is easier than running a command, right? You know, I don't subscribe. I actually think most of our listeners don't even subscribe to that. But but yeah, if you go
Look,
to the
look,
Windows Store and you search for Firefox, it's the first result, right? And you just install it.
and now look, people that are on Reddit mostly are techies, or they are
No,
technically
no,
more. Yeah, but
no,
look at the
no.
result from Reddit.
Yeah, but you see results from 3 years, 4 years ago,
I don't know.
because
Well,
those
I
are
don't know.
ranked higher because they have the most
No,
views
no,
and the
no,
most.
no, no. This is from December 19th, 2023. What is the question that somebody puts in there? How in the world do you install Firefox on Windows 11? You know that guy went through hell. How in the world do you do it?
No,
That shows you that it's a problem. And I
look,
and I
I
and
love
I'm
Reddit. I do not measure Reddit that way.
well,
Well, it looks like the process to install WinGet on Windows 10 is not trivial. But
Yeah,
if it's
yeah.
in
no.
On
Windows
Windows 10,
11,
it's
if
not
it's in
trivial.
Windows 11, it's great. Yeah.
That's the thing. It's already baked in Windows 11.
Yeah.
It's
I,
yeah.
I'm going to have some fun and I'm going to try this with somebody that
No,
I
I
know has
mean
Windows
this
11.
information
Yeah.
about WinGet should be because it's not just for
I agree. I
Firefox.
agree.
Oh, it's for any.
I
Yeah. It's,
agree.
yeah.
I think we're going to see more and more of it eventually. Uh, the reason we do not see it is because, first of all, Winget goes basically the same mechanism that runs the Microsoft Store is the same mechanism that Winget works with. Uh, it's just two different sources. One is called Microsoft Store, and the other one is Winget, which is open source, an open source solution that Microsoft provides. Uh, the There is also, by the way, there is also Winget UI, which is somebody not related with Microsoft. I'm guessing that at one point it'll change its name because Microsoft probably owns the name Winget or something, and they'll give them a cease and desist of the name. Like, remember Windows Commander becoming Total Commander, something like that. So once they'll become more popular, Winget UI deals with Winget, with everything available in Winget through a very, very easy UI to manage. That includes updates. Most of the software I have installed on Windows today, I get a list of what's updated, what's not, and I click, and it's all based on open source technology. Most of the entries are managed by the software owners. Some of these entries are managed by just an interested third party, somebody who really likes the software and updates the installer. Um, it's finally a way of managing software sanely, automatically, in a very,
Well,
very controlled way, but still can be automated in Windows. It's like you say all of that. Windows, Microsoft. If any of you worked in the IT world of Windows NT, right? Microsoft had the SMS servers, the software manager servers, which you would package an installer in a certain way. Uh, they'll have to be MSIs. You will pass them on to your clients,
um,
which
I,
they'll have an SMS agent. You remember those crap? Now it's just a command line.
I'm going
Fine.
to add the link of WinGet to the links on Computers 2K now, so
Yeah,
people will.
that's
Yeah, I'm going to do that.
Git is just absolutely. I like that's the first thing I do is I make sure I have a script that on a new image, right? It just with a single command line, it installs everything that I need. It takes, I don't know, it takes the time,
Okay,
right?
now
Depending on the bandwidth.
let me ask you. It says use the WinGet tool to install, and then that's from Microsoft, and then it also has a GitHub that says Microsoft WinGet
Yeah,
slash CLI.
yeah. That's where the development is happening.
So I should put the
The
link
GitHub,
to.
the GitHub link.
Okay,
That's where you should.
okay,
Yeah,
all right,
I do not like the Microsoft page is a very marketing front,
okay,
right? You get the information on GitHub.
okay.
You
It's
get the downloads
unfortunate
from
that
there.
Microsoft has to be that way. But
Well, I mean, in a way, look, they're developing it. They're developing it in the open, right? So I have no complaints. The fact that they're using it, they have this front, and you can go through the Microsoft Winget CLI on GitHub. That's I mean, GitHub is Microsoft, so not it's not as if you're going elsewhere. And through there, you'll have the links to the latest, the learn.microsoft.com. That's the documentation. You'll have everything that you need from there.
All right. It's going to be there in a minute. Talk about something.
Oh, I'm gonna go ahead and do this, install it on this Win 10 machine, and I'm also gonna put WinGet UI on here.
Yeah. By the way, installing WinGet UI is WinGet space.
No, I
install
realize it's
space
just
WinGet
has an
UI.
interface. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can if I'd done it, then the command line is there already. So, right.
Right. And so let's say the command line for Firefox is a bit longer because you need to specify Mozilla.firefox, right? And you don't want to make sure nobody makes a typo. So the first thing to install is WinGet install WinGet UI, right? And then you get a UI to manage WinGet, and you could just search Firefox, and there's a list. If you want the latest and greatest, you'll install the nightlies. If you want just Firefox, you'll install Firefox, etc. So it and the nice thing about it is Firefox itself has a baked-in update engine, right? You restart it and it updates. But there are a lot of software that doesn't, and they don't need to make it anymore. Finally, they just need WinGet to get it updated. Maybe we'll get rid of all of these internal update mechanisms, which are terrible, right? Especially when they run amok and in parallel. Let one system manage it.
You mean kind of like what happens on your iPhone, where you have one app store and unless you do a side load, which is really hard on Apple.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have one place to go, update all, boom, done.
Exactly. Yeah. And if you don't want to update, you just mark, don't update this one. Right? Or something
you
like
can
that.
just go down the line and click the ones you want.
Well, WinGet is in the links section of the website, right at the very top. Anybody who wants it, needs it, and anybody you can tell about
I'll give you an
it,
example.
that's
When was the last time you updated your 7-zip installation?
Ooh.
Right? And that's something you do want to be updated from time to time because of performance and because of corruption and because of that, right? With WinGet UI, it notifies me there's an update. Do you want to update, right? Simple.
Provided you installed it there?
No, it will actually, that's actually nice because it uses the built-in installer, basically. It uses the MSI by the software product. It's not a new packaging system.
So it looks at the library.
Exactly.
All right. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So it'll see. Sometimes it'll tell you, I can't install it because it was installed with a different method. So WinGet UI, for example, very simple. You right-click it and you tell it uninstall and then update. So it'll uninstall it first, and then it'll install it with WinGet. From next time, it's just a simple. Finally, there's a system that actually does correctly.
but you gotta warn.
But this is for this side is for the techies.
Yeah.
This side is for the techies. This part I don't have a problem. But the fact that you can manage something like this, you can give instructions for somebody very easily, install it, right? That part is it's so freeing. That like it needs to be embraced.
No, absolutely.
The firewall doesn't like it.
Firewall.
Yeah. I just installed WinGet UI, and I'm getting protection history. It says protected folder access blocked.
Protected folder
access blocked. Yep.
You're running Windows 11?
No, 10. This is the 10 machine I'm on now. The 11 machine is not.
No.
Yeah.
Are you?
Anyway, we need.
No, I installed it on 10 as well, on another 10.
We need to.
Yeah,
wrap it up.
Yep.
it's blocking PowerShell.
Well, I mean, you'll
Weird.
probably find out that you set something.
No, on Windows 10, there is a process you need to go through.
I'm going to
in
just
order
go ahead
to
and
install
enable
it
all
first.
this.
Yeah.
So I'll have to
Yeah.
go through each one.
All right. Anything else anybody wants to add? I guess that's a no. All right.
But I won't be around for several weeks. I will try to check in, but I'll be like 15 hours different time zone.
When are you coming
we-
back? You're leaving next.
We're leaving
You need.
next Saturday, and we'll be back on March 2nd.
Wow.
You're going to lose a day, right?
Lose a day going, and we come back.
Yeah.
We'll get here 2 hours after we left New Zealand.
That's a real fast flight.
Oh,
very slow
from
flight.
Dallas. From Dallas, it's 15 and a half hours from
Yeah.
Dallas.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
All right.
yeah, we're excited. I'm not, this is good because I'm not panicking. Usually when I go on a long trip like this, I've got so many things I've been preparing for this for a month. I mean, literally, it's usually I pack like the 2 days before I leave. So,
So have a safe trip.
thanks.
Spence.
So I'll be talking to you
Enjoy.
guys before we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm going to have
And-
full access on the ship internet. I bought the package for 4 devices. So
All right.
we'll be good.
All right. Thanks, Spence. Thanks, Gal. And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie and Donna, Dina, Mati, Eleanor, Sarid, Yaakov, Yael. Thank you for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing. Back up your hard drive and update your virus scanner, and change any same password where you use them. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. And remember, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., Nick is on Wilmington's 980 The Wave and 107.9 FM with his daily drive show, political points. You can tell again that your Echo device just play 980 The Wave. Or you can go to the recordings later on at nickcraig.com. And during the week, also Nick and Brian do the Infection podcast. That's a podcast for survival games, gaming news, with a little bit of political stuff here and there. Just go to infectionpodcast.com to find out when is the live show taking place, and or download the podcast after. Have a great week, and we'll be back together next.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com and DeltaForce.net.